My name's Sarah Linus and I head up the fundraising here at Cancer Research UK. And I just feel so lucky to be working in a place which I think is best placed to be beating cancer. I know from my own personal experience that the biggest single reason why people are supporting us is because they've had a very close cancer experience, either themselves or with a member of their family. So typically people are giving to us because maybe someone's died from cancer or because someone has survived and they want to celebrate that success, that survival that's happened. About 7 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with a brain tumour. And he went from being really fine to suddenly having this devastating diagnosis. And not only was it a diagnosis of cancer, but we also knew that cancer was a type that we weren't going to be able to treat. James was 35 years old at the time, and we had two young children who then were Catherine, who was 3, and Daniel, who was just 1. During James's treatment, throughout, against all kind of common sense, we actually had a third child in that time, Edward. In the time since he died, we now know that he would be better off to have had a drug called temozolomide, which Cancer Research UK were very involved in the development of. So anyone who has that diagnosis now would have that treatment, and that would typically give someone another 6 to 12 months of survival. It still wouldn't cure them, but 6 to 12 months of survival is a lot when you've got such young children. And I guess I've seen that progress that we've made is because of the work of Cancer Research UK and other organisations around the world have meant that people are able to survive longer with cancer now than they were even just 6 years ago. Although we're a charity, we're also internationally renowned as being leaders in cancer research, with such great people like Tim Hunt, Nobel Prize winners, working for us.
I'm a researcher here at Cancer Research UK, Clare Hall Laboratories, which is about 15 miles from the centre of London. And sitting in this very chair in 2001, the phone rang on a cloudy, rainy October morning with a Swedish voice telling me that I'd won a share of the 2001 Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine for what they called discovering key regulators of the cell cycle. It was a sort of real eureka moment. The doors opened and I saw what was at the basis of cell division.
There's no better place than Cancer Research UK to be beating cancer, and that's because we've got such a range of research that we're covering. We've got people working at the very basic end of understanding cell biology to try and understand why cancer starts in the first place, and then we've got people who are using that knowledge to then apply that to patients in hospitals throughout the UK.
Our job is to stop the cancer cells growing in the first place, to kill them in the second place. That's really important. I mean, you actually want to make them go away, and to destroy all they're called stem cells, cancer stem cells, so that the cancer can't come back.
It's really humbling to think that almost all of our funding, in fact 99% of our funding, comes from donations from the general public. We get less than 1% of our income through the government. And that means that we have a huge responsibility to ensure that the funds that we do get are spent well, are spent on the best research possible. One
of the problems about doing scientific research of any kind is that you need all these special tools and instruments which are unbelievably expensive. And I'm never quite sure, sometimes people say, the companies are making a grotesque profit because they show you a little beige box that costs as much as a Rolls Royce. But the truth of the matter is that not many of these little beige boxes are sold, and they tend to be absolutely essential. We're hoping to get a mass spectrometer here in Clare Hall, and we've identified an absolutely excellent person who knows how to run the thing. And but he's going to take maybe £1 million to set up his lab, because these instruments are so sophisticated and so expensive. This is a movie that was made in my lab. These are cancer cells that we're looking at here, and the trouble with cancer cells is that they just carry on dividing when the signals from their mates are telling that they shouldn't. Or that they divide when they're not getting a signal to grow and divide. The commitment we make to all of our donors is that at least 80 pence in every pound that's donated will go directly to the scientific programme to help us beat cancer. The trouble with cancer research is it's really a very difficult problem, because cancer is all about cells growing out of control, and you have an awful lot of cells in your body, and there are an awful lot of different kinds of cells, and they can grow out of control in an awful lot of different kinds of ways. Now we suspect that somewhere underneath all that there is a unifying principle, but if there is, we haven't really stumbled on it yet. But I think that there probably is something that they all have in common, and that's what we're looking for. Because if there was one thing that distinguished cancer cells from normal cells, then maybe there would be something you could really do about it other than just cut out the growth. You know, if we give a drug which stopped all cancer cells, that's the holy grail.
As I know, when you have a cancer experience, it's really important for you to have access to the information that you need. So we have helplines and a website to enable people to just tap into that information that we have, so that they know the questions to ask, they can understand a bit more about the treatments they're getting. I know that with the continued generosity of our supporters, able to ensure that our scientists are doing the best work, I'm really convinced that together we will beat cancer.